All right, hello everyone. It is 8 o'clock, so I hope everyone's having a great Wednesday. But let's go ahead and get started here. I have a couple things that I'd like to cover. The first thing is I may have already mentioned this to you, but that it's important that you're constantly experimenting, learning, and applying what you've learned from what you figured as a mistake. So those of us in the U.S. recently celebrated Thanksgiving, and this holiday in particular is about social eating. So I'd ask for you to look at what you did for Thanksgiving, think about what you can learn from how you did, and then use that to think about what you're going to do for the upcoming holidays in December and how you're going to make those changes, or even if you need to. For those of you not in the U.S. and or not celebrating Thanksgiving, I'd strongly encourage you to talk to other people in the community about what their struggles were, what they did right, what they felt they did wrong, and how they could possibly improve, and then what their plans are as well. As always, I'll be sharing my plans going forward about what I'm going to do for the Christmas holiday. So, the primary topic that I wanted to discuss this evening is how to deal with a weight loss plateau. Some of that is related to what we talked about last week, the spendthrift versus thrifty differences in metabolism, and our individual responses to different calorie intakes, and our differences in non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that's any movement that we do that is not sleeping, eating, or sports-like exercise, like working out would be. So this topic was inspired by a recent article written by Dr. Mike Israetel. Dr. Mike is a professor of exercise science at Temple University, and he's a consultant on sports nutrition to the U.S. Olympic Training Headquarters. He's also a competitive powerlifter, bodybuilder, and he's a great source of fitness information that I look to when I want to further my own knowledge. So the question here is, why do weight loss plateaus occur, and what can I do about it? So per what Mike laid out in his article, there are 5 major reasons why this can happen, why a weight loss plateau can happen. And I'm going to go through them in order as which one is most likely to happen to least likely. So the primary reason that a weight loss plateau can happen is inaccurate tracking. So if you're going to try to eyeball most of your calories and are estimating or guesstimating rather than actually weighing them, this is the likely culprit. When this happens, you may want to reduce the number of estimated calories you're having in a day and return back to being a little bit more strict until you're through the plateau. I don't think you need to be that strict all the time, but it's easy to fall into the habit of estimating, taking bites of things you're not tracking, licking off of a spoon, that type of thing where it's not really, you're not doing it consciously, but subconsciously those things can happen. They kind of slip in unnoticed, and they do add up over the course of a day. They can add up enough of a point to actually stop fat loss or cause weight gain. I do this myself from time to time, and like I said, this can creep in kind of subconsciously, and that's why I've listed it as the most likely culprit for a plateau. And when I say plateau, I don't mean I didn't lose weight this week. I mean over the course of weeks. Weight loss is not a linear process. It's not a straight line you can just follow like that. So just because you did everything right and nothing happened on the scale doesn't mean you didn't have progress. It doesn't mean you have a plateau. It takes a little bit more information and a little bit more time to actually know when you're in a plateau or not. So the second reason for having a plateau is cheating. And if it's a few days a week and you go over your calorie goal, or you have meals where you have no idea what you're taking in, this is often enough to slow down fat loss entirely, or stop it, or cause weight gain on its own. This is a tough pill to swallow, but it's unfortunately the truth. The third reason is something we've talked about previously, and is that changes in non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. Again, that's any activity that's not formal exercise. So walking, biking to work instead of driving, gardening instead of watching TV, standing and walking while being on the phone as opposed to sitting while on the phone. Also, when you've been eating at a reduced number of calories for a while, you simply don't move around as much. As a result, you don't have as much energy. Therefore, you are burning fewer calories as a result, and your weight loss is stalling. So this is something I've talked about before, where it's kind of the fine line you have to walk, where it's enough calories to get fat loss moving, but it's not enough to stop fat loss. Where if you just drop calories too drastically, your energy levels drop, therefore you're not burning as many calories, where your fat loss will technically be slower than if you were eating more. The fourth reason for a weight loss stall are hormonal water weight changes. So as I mention often, weight loss is about managing your stresses. Reducing your calories is a stress on your body. Exercise is a stress on your body, even if it's a positive one. Regular everyday life is a stress. Caffeine is a stress. Stressors can cause your stress hormones to be elevated, and the side effect of that is that you feel bloated, you're holding on to extra water, so the scale goes up. So you may actually still be losing fat in the background. It's just that the scale might not move or might go up, and this may go on for days at a time. So what's happening is the water weight changes are showing that you're regressing, but fat loss is still happening. And this is another important reason that you have to stay the course and trust the process. If you react to these water weight changes and change something, you're changing what you're doing based on false information, because it's water weight changes have nothing to do with fat loss at all, unless it's as a result of your calories being too low, and then you're stressed out as a result of that, and then you're gaining water weight. So it's masking the fat loss that's happening, and there's no easy way for you to tell in the short term what's happening. So you can't react to things in the short term when it comes to weight loss. And the fifth and last reason for a plateau is that your metabolism is adapting over time. So if you've been eating at lower calories for a while, you've been, say, 8-12 weeks, your metabolism can and will slow down, and your weight loss will be slower than you anticipate. The good news is that this is happening only as a partial effect. You can't completely prevent weight loss. The bad news is that the way to get through it is you might have to lower calories or increase your activity to compensate. Let's see. So the problem with that is that, with that said, there are a few things that you can do to help counteract these stalls and plateaus. So number one, work on sticking with your calorie goals. Yes, being within your calorie goals is work, but it's work being done for a specific reason. So try to stay active. Don't get lazy, especially since winter is here. Get plenty of sleep. Try to manage your stress so that you're not raising your stress hormones unnecessarily beyond what you can control. You're not putting on water weight as a result. Keep in mind too that lack of sleep is going to increase cravings, and it's going to result in other stress sticking around longer. It's like a domino effect. So all the other stress you have going on in your life from work or relationships, those are amplified when your stress quality or your sleep quality is poor. So again, sleep is kind of like the keystone, where if you get enough sleep and it's good quality, that everything else kind of has its volume turned down. But when you don't get enough sleep, everything has its volume turned up. So you're hungry, you're craving things more often. All the other stressors you're not recovering from as faster. So, again, work on getting better sleep. It's probably the best thing you could do for your health, your longevity, and for your weight loss. And I don't say that lightly. The last thing you can really do is don't try to automatically reduce your calories way too low. And I've seen this with some people where I may give them a recommended calorie range, and they stop 1,000 calories or 500 calories below that recommended range. And unfortunately, that's way too low. You may see short-term progress where that's going to give you really rapid weight loss, and that's okay. But what can happen is you're going to, your metabolism is going to adapt, and your energy is going to crash, and you're going to feel like crap. And then there's really nowhere to go but down unless you take a diet break. And I do recommend that you take a week or two to eat at maintenance calories every 4 months or so. Getting someone to do that is a little bit harder than saying it. But it is recommended to keep your metabolism going strong, because there's only so low you can drop. I would normally, depending on your height and things like that, there's like a floor where I wouldn't recommend you go that low in calories. Like the lowest calories I would ever recommend a male drop to is like 1,200, and that's a male that's like 5 foot tall. So, you would never really need to go that low. So there's a floor to how low you can go as far as getting enough nutrients to actually, be healthy. So keep that in mind. In my own experience, I specifically plan on a 2 to 4 week break to keep things moving and to keep my sanity. And I also change up my training in the gym to match. Meaning, for example, my plan is Christmas week and New Year's week is to take a diet break where I'm gradually increasing my calories up to what is needed to maintain my body weight. And as a result of that, I'm going to get more volume in the gym, more days a week, more sets, more reps, all that type of stuff. But I'm increasing my food and rest to accommodate that. And that gives me kind of a break from, reducing my calories. And then I'll go back to that. And if you look at things on a long enough timeline, you actually have better weight loss that way than if you just stick with a flat calorie goal and you just keep lowering calories forever until you reach your goal. It's much more enjoyable to take breaks as well. So do keep that in mind. I do think that covers everything that I wanted to discuss on the topic. There's probably a lot more nuance that if you wanted to get into some of these topics, please let me know. I'll be happy to talk about it. Let me look around and see if there's any more questions. No, I don't see any questions being asked. All right, I think that covers it for this evening. I hope you all have a great night. I'll talk to you soon and have a good night. All right, bye.